Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, family. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you sit watching this on the replay. I am Robert Stroger, pastor of New Life Changing Christian Center. Next to me is my lovely wife, Robin.
Hello, hello, hello.
On the screen here is Mr. Marcus T. Down below him is my sister Kathy. And we got a guest tonight.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes. Big shout out to Miss
Hey, hey.
Yatta.
Yatta.
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
yes. She
Mhm.
she was asked to join in on our discussion this evening. So we're gonna jump right in. I don't have a lot to start off with, but we're gonna jump right in. Our
Mhm.
discussion tonight. Well, first, I'm jumping ahead of myself.
Mhm.
Getting excited, right? I you can join us on our social media pages if you see below the screen here. And New Life Changing CC is the Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
And the YouTube page is New Life Changing Christian Center Inc. All right.
Correct.
So go over to the YouTube page. And if you're not a subscriber, please go over there and hit the subscribe button. And also our webpage is newlifechangingcc.org.
Yeah,
Right?
you got it.
All right, cool. All right. And this right here is not I said Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Bible study. This is our authentic conversation with what, Kathy?
Real life talk with authentic discussions.
There we go. All right, she hit it.
Right.
It's a real life talk with authentic discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, it was a cool topic that was brought up is bridging the gap between generations. And the question is, do we need to bridge gaps between generations? Because on this line tonight, we have a couple generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got the 70s babies on this line,
Woo,
Yep.
woo.
right? We got 80s babies on this line.
Hey, hey.
Yeah. And we got the 90s baby on this line. Right.
Mm.
Awesome. Awesome. It's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So, bridging the gap between the generations. Do we need to? Is there a gap between generations? Us, the older group, you know what I mean? You guys, the younger group. Is there a gap? Because my first opinion is I don't think there is a gap. You know what I mean? There is a gap, of course, because we're older, and you know what I mean. We've been through more, of course, because we older than that generation. But far as the gap, I had to process that because I look at our generation, especially us 70s babies growing up, born in the 70s, sort of growing up in the 80s, 90s. I call us the hip hop group, right? I know we got Gen X, Gen Z, all that type of jazz. But I look at us as hip hop generation that we can be more relatable to the younger generation. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as when I was growing up, my parents, my mother, I couldn't relate to her because she was in the 50s. Yeah, it was that the baby boomers and all that. And they were in their group. And it wasn't like the way they dressed is where they dressed. And it was no like they didn't change it. This is what they grew up with, and they were real traditional. And then as we grew up in our generation, we was trying to break away from that tradition. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted to be more free in what we did, but we still had that tradition stuck in us, embedded in us, but we still was trying to break away from it and do our own thing. You know what I mean? Like even us talking online, and this is church. This is New Life Changing Christian Center we representing. Our parents would have never came on here in a hoodie and a baseball cap.
Oh,
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? And talk about God. You would never. I don't even know if they wore hoodies back then. Did they wear hoodies, Kathy, Margaret?
Yeah, they did.
They wore hoodies.
My
Yeah.
Not mine. No.
Not
Yeah, I
mine
don't
either.
remember that.
Not mine either.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I'd have been caught. They'd have
Yeah, Brian got
they'd have wrapped me in a blanket if they saw me with this
Right.
netted
at
sleeve.
home though. At home, not out is what I'm saying. Like not out. Like no,
No, I don't
out.
remember them having any athletic wear,
No.
period.
Right.
I don't even remember that.
Right.
Unless they
My
were
mother
working
wore
out.
dresses, and
Right.
even on a down day, she had on a jean
Right.
skirt.
So that generation, of course, it was a gap. But
Mhm.
my feeling, in my opinion, and I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. I don't know if it's such a gap. You know what I'm saying, Kenyatta? I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't know because we have a 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and they were all born in the 2000s, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
They come to us to talk about things. I would have never talked to my parents about anything. Right? You know what I'm saying? I would never talk to them
Mhm.
about nothing
Nah.
growing, and I didn't. You know what I
Nope.
mean? Anything because they wouldn't understand or they saw it as no, I just couldn't. They was too old, you know, and they really couldn't relate to what I was saying.
Mhm.
Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all,
Yes.
What say you, Kenyatta? I see
Yeah.
you
So
got
I think there is a gap. I just think that the gap is narrowing as the generations are coming. So for me, who is an 80s baby, and I have a daughter who was born in the 2000s, our gap is a lot smaller than, say, my daughter versus my mother, who was born in the 60s. So the gaps, I feel like through the generations, the gaps kind of are getting closer and closer, closing more.
Mhm. I see that. Is it so maybe it's not so much a I mean, now there was definitely a gap, like you say, in style and clothing, but in mindset
Well,
too, from our parent, like from my parent to me being a parent to my kids, and to you being a parent to you know what I mean?
so for mindset, I guess, because when the street lights came on, that was our cue to be in the house. Now these kids, it's like, okay, we come in when I'm just, when I'm tired or when I'm ready, and they don't really have a sense of. It was more so community versus now that everybody's just out there doing their own thing. Like the 2000s is almost they're living without fear. It's, hey, I got my hair flying free in the wind. Whereas we were kind of throwing caution to the wind. Hey, the street lights came on, it's time to come in the house. So it was more, we were a little bit more reserved, whereas they just want to live out loud.
Yeah. Because I always say it's probably not a good thing for me to say, but like when I look at my children, so I have a 90s baby and a 2000s babies.
Hmm.
And so so the difference in the two, like it wasn't a lot. You just had one that was free, like you said, and then that next group came, they super free. They like, YOLO, you only live once. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do this. If I die, I'm gonna die happy in it. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's from me. But then I look at them like, dang, I wish I had the courage
Hmm.
to do that when I was your age. But I just wasn't, I ain't had that. But in my mind, I was like, oh man, that seems pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. But that's I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe it's just a mindset and like where we are today, right? Because we can take what our kids say to us. I mean, I don't really want to hear it,
but no,
but
we
I
don't.
do.
We don't judge.
No
We don't
judge, yeah.
and kill it and criticize.
And
it.
then we've been through it too.
Yeah,
Because they
as if we
Mhm.
talked and we could never express ourselves.
Mhm, mhm.
That was the thing that kind of bind our group up. We couldn't express ourselves. You do this. It was cut and dry. It was A and B. This is what you did, and this is how, I think we were talking about it on was it last week? This is how you're going to represent us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when you go out the house, and this is what you're going to do, and this is what you're not going to do,
Mhm,
and that's it. But no, I don't want to wear that. I don't want to do this. I want to do. No, what did I say?
mhm.
And then that was it. The conversation over, and then you felt confined, and then so that right there bridged a bigger gap
Mhm.
because I don't.
I ain't gonna say
So
nothing.
when I go outside away from them,
Mhm.
I'm a wild because now I'm free.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Under them, which I'm not saying it was wrong, but
Mhm.
because that's what they knew, and that's what you know what I'm saying. Because as a parent, there's no books or anything. So, but it kind of gave you an anger and a rebellion. I mean, because you already be rebellious as a juvenile. That is automatic, right? Because you're gonna bump against authority. But that bridged our gap a little further.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So you went to the friends, you went outside to get your information and to express yourself. You know what I'm saying, Kathy? I know we're in the same group.
Yeah, definitely. My mindset, honestly, when I was thinking about the topic, was what you and Robin are talking about, meaning my relationship with my parents, right, versus my relationship with my daughter. She's an 80s baby as well. And you're right. Certain topics in my household was taboo. You did not talk about it. You didn't bring it up, right? Whatever was told to us to do, that was the final authority. We didn't have no voice. You can have an emotional opinion about something, but it was never expressed to your parents, right? So my thought was making sure that we're not subjecting our children to the same things we went through, right? That I'm being intentional that to not do those things, like to have effective communication where, like you said, Pastor Ross, she can come to me and we can talk about anything. We're not judging, not making them feel bad or harsh or anything like that. So that's what I was thinking about. And so I think we just got to be mindful to make sure that there is not a gap. I'm like Kenyatta. I do agree that there is a little bit of a gap, only because things have changed in the world. Like the stuff that they deal with, we didn't necessarily have to deal with, or the way that they deal with things is not the way that we dealt with stuff, right? If something, like I said, emotions for us, we kept things inside. Like Kenyatta said, this generation is a little bit more expressive. They live out loud. That's not what we did then. You know what I mean? Everything was capped. You couldn't just do certain things. And so, yeah, it's just being intentional to make sure that there isn't a gap between the generations. Mm-hmm. Whether it's passing on wisdom, knowledge, experiences that we've been through, so that they don't go through the same thing. And then the other generations have to also be open to listen. No, we're not always, correct and know everything, but we, like you said, we've been through some things. We have experiences that we can help them, and that they don't have to go through stuff. So, yeah.
What's up, poetic mister?
I know, right?
So I laugh because we're talking a gap between parent and child, right? I definitely have one. My father was born in 57. My mother was born in 64, right? Nothing they did then was, how I am right now. Like that pull apart was big. They were born in the 57, right? He was wearing the butterfly collar shirt type Eric type thing, But I think personally the gap comes from lack of understanding and lack of wanting to understand. Right. We look at it now, and like you said, we came from a space of time. Even in the 90s, we came from a space of time. You sit there, do what I tell you to do, and that was it. Right. Ask no questions. This generation ain't free. They reckless. That's what they are. They reckless. They don't care about nothing. They're going to jump out, no parachute, and hope they land on their feet. Right. That's a different freedom there. That I did. Like Kenyatta said, that street light came on, and I went on that porch in that house. You wouldn't see me right now today. Right? I don't condone violence, YouTube, Facebook land, whoever watching this is, but that was our reality back then, right? Today it's not so much. Except you out there, you free fall, and you out there. I'll be back. You got my location, right? Right? You can track me now, and that's really what it is now. But for me, when I think of the gap, I think of sitting down and having these conversations with each other from that generation to this generation, because everybody, it's a melting pot of learning, right? I watched a guy on YouTube this morning. It's funny. I was going through stuff on YouTube this morning, and a guy was talking about the generational gap, and he said the reason why older people stay old, right, meaning in mindset, that they don't talk to the younger people, and the younger people don't sit down and talk to older people. That wisdom rotates around, right? Like we talk about social media, right? You get there, who teaches you how to use social media? The younger people, right? But who teaches you how to have the mindset of not letting it control you? The older people, right? The understanding comes around as that full circle thing. But the gap is there. It's there. It's prevalent. You see it every day. We see it everywhere we go. We see the way we dress. We talk, like we talked about the other day. We talk about the word dope, right? Not stuff you use, but in speech, right? The word, right? It's like generationally, who uses it, who doesn't, right? Even now, these kids say cap. I didn't know what that meant. I to this day still don't know why we use it. It's the dumbest phrase in my opinion, but they like it, so I love it. You know, it makes no sense to me. What am I capping? Put the cap on the bottle. The bottle top, that's a cap, right? The cap, Rob, you wearing the cap, right? But we take these words here generationally, and the other people are like, I don't know what that means here, and I don't want to know what it means. I'm gonna stay over here on this side here, right? At one point, folks calling each other jive turkey, right? But it changes because we have the mindset of saying, let me learn this here, let me flow with this here, so that I can grow, so I can learn. Again, in my opinion, if we don't take the time to learn it, that gap's gonna keep growing. It's gonna keep growing, keep growing, and that wisdom gets lost in that separation. Right? Like you said, I never saw my grandparents wear sweatsuits. My granddaddy would cook out on his grill with khaki shorts on, right? And a button up with them church sandals on, with no lotion on his ankles. That was his thing there. I'm in the backyard with my cut up shorts on, white a fitted t-shirt. If that is hot outside, you know. But he wouldn't dare do that because that's generationally, that's where he was. But one thing I admire about my grandfather, he took time to understand the new mindset. He stayed relevant mentally because he didn't want to be in that old box, right? And I hate to say this here. This sounds so harsh. But you stay in that box too long, you die, right? It's simple because you're stuck there. You have no room to grow, and that box get real cramped after a while. Right. I know y'all say I'm old. I'm not old. Right. But I have the mindset of the wisdom that came before me. Right. Because it's important to have it. Now, when I have my children, I can pass that down to them. And I can learn from them as they learn from me. But too often, we don't see that really no more. Like, when the last time you saw somebody sitting down with their grandparents and them old conversations? Right.
Because the grandparents look like us now.
That's
we
are the grandparents.
Right.
I mean,
But
like, you know, like I want to sit down and talk to my grandchildren and give them some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And every time I see them, I'm trying to just feed them with something. I don't care if it's just, you know, you're a lady. This is how we do. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? But
yes,
people don't understand it's a lot out here like us, 70s babies who are grandparents. They trying to get their life now. You know what I mean? And it's not that you can't have your life. I don't really know what that means, but you know what I'm saying? They like, I ain't worried about that. I'm doing this over here. I'm trying to compete with my daughter.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Who's the 90s baby and, you know, and foolishness like that. So yeah, that's good with the wisdom.
Yeah, even that competition is so funny to me. Like, why you living your life through your child? Let them live, let them breathe, and let them be, let them blossom. Because you start to suffocate them trying to become them.
Yes.
And you wonder why they almost cut. You wonder why they are wilding out or showing out. Is because now they're clashing with you now because you're trying to be them all the time. Right? I remember I heard one lady before, again, podcasting. She said, I want to be my daughter's best friend. The co-podcaster said, when do you become her parent? I said, oop. Right? See, now that gap is pulling apart, right? Because you're not taking the time to pour into that child anymore. Because you want to be that child. You've been a child. You be the adult that you're supposed to be. Pass the wisdom down. Close the gap. Say when your child has a child, boom, same thing. I think that's how we close those gaps there. Right? Like we talk all the time, online and offline, about anything and everything that's relevant, that's not relevant. But by us constantly communicating, we're learning each other. We're learning where we stand and where we fit in, and what's happening over here while this over here is moving at the same time. I don't know. It's a lot. This gap thing is crazy. But yeah, I'm in the 90s. I don't know what it was like to grow up in the olden time in the 70s.
Hey, watch it.
Right.
But it's interesting where you were saying it, and that goes what Robin was also saying. That goes all back to what we always be talking about. You got to be comfortable with yourself, and as a parent, right? You got to be solidified in yourself and know who you are. Because when you start trying to be your child's friend, trying to mimic them, now you're bringing yourself down. You're supposed to be the mature one. You're supposed to be the adult the wisdom. Now you bringing yourself down to a younger generation, which you're trying to relate to it or trying to be relevant, which you're not. You're just being immature and silly now. You know what I'm saying? I know that may sound hard. I'm sorry, but you're being very immature because as a parent, you cannot be your child's best friend because you birthed the child. You the parent. Be the parent. Be the wisdom. Be the one that they can come to and cry to and ask for help and assist. And you can give them knowledge that because you have, just like you were saying, Marcus, they're going places that our group has already been, right? So I can give you some knowledge. And then in return, you can give me stuff that's going on now so I can stay relevant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can know, so I can continue to grow and be able to talk to you, be able to understand what cat mean, be able to understand certain slang and understand. So I won't be like, what are you talking about? Now I can get what you're saying and understand it because we haven't, and like you said, Marcus, is repeating what you're saying. We have an open dialogue and we have an open conversation. But in that, the parent has to be mature. We have a lot of immature older people.
Yes.
That's very silly. That's and I see it online. They're trying to be, they're 50 and want to be 25. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because even the children look at you like, why are you doing that? But then they feel like because they're, because the time we are now, people are living longer, you feel more energetic, you got life. You know what I'm saying? And you got a certain physique that you're being them. No, they know you old. Everybody know you older, right? You the one looking in the mirror thinking you 25 because you know what I'm saying? Because you put on something tight or fitting and you feel like something. No, you're older. You understand? Like I can't sit around a bunch of 24-year-olds acting like I'm 24. No, actually, I wouldn't want to sit around a bunch of 24-year-olds. Unless we're gonna have a, you know what I mean? I'm teaching or we're back, but I'm gonna sit around and have a regular conversation. But what because we can't relate. Now, if I'm giving them something or words of wisdom, because I grew up with that. I grew up with granddads and my uncles always, every time they was around, is dropping nuggets. So I grew up with that older, you know what I'm saying? That older scene. And that's what they did as men. They gave nuggets. Boom. This, do this, bam, bam, bam. And I said, okay, I got it. You know what I'm saying? And just at times I didn't because I was like, I wish they stopped talking. But it was nuggets being dropped. And I'm like, that's what we're supposed to do. And then in return, they was understanding where I was at that time. You know what I mean? And in my age. And I think it goes back to maturity. Even if you're not a parent, an older person, we need to be mature in order to talk to the younger generation. And true, what y'all saying, there is a gap. Yeah. But if you are mature, then you can bridge that gap. You can bring it closer that we can have a discussion. Yeah. I don't want to be 25. I would not want to be 20 today.
Not today.
No, I don't. I had my time. My time, I was born in 72, right? Right. I grew up in a time where, and I grew up before the technology age. It was just coming in. We didn't grow up with cell phones. We didn't grow up with computers or handheld devices.
Right.
And then growing up into that, then I finally, we got them. So I knew a time that we could actually hang out and nobody bust up upside, we get bust upside the head. We could actually get together and have fun.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We didn't have devices holding, we could communicate with one another. We had house phones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With a cord, you had to call and say, hey, be here such and such. All right, I'll be ready. And then you be ready. Now we at a time you call, text, FaceTime, I'll be ready.
And location,
and the person's still not ready. You know what I'm saying? When it's time to connect, you're still late. You know what I mean? So we grew up in that time. We grew up in time where we could go to McDonald's and get a whole Happy Meal we get burgers for $1.
And the meal was $3.15.
Right, we could do certain things and just we could go out when we was 14 that had like $15 and go to the mall and have a blast between them both. You know what I'm saying? Between the both.
Yes.
So it was a different time and age, but in that we saw things, we dealt with things. Some things today I do not understand.
Mhm.
Right? I can't get with.
Mhm.
I'm getting it, but then I can't get with it. Then it makes me angry because I'm like, I wish it would
Mad, yeah.
stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no, you can't control it. It's
Mhm.
just the the evolution is that's what we're in. And some things I hate because it's messing up our babies, right? It's really tearing up our baby's mind because they don't have the sense or the maturity to stop or control.
Yeah.
They go all the way in 1,000% and then hit the brick wall, and then they won't come back and say, "Oh shoot, I think I messed up. Can you help me out?" But by then they done went so far into it, you know what I mean? But then you have to be the parent, the older one, to have patience, calm down, and understand and show love to that group. Because now we have, I don't want to cut you off. We have now we got so many different. You're not sure your daughter come up now she dressing like a boy. I remember back in the day, if somebody did that, they would knock them. The girls would be knocked
Back into
clean
your
across
right
the
mind.
floor.
Back into
In
your
your
right mind.
And vice versa. Now we in the time now, and with the boys, you got to sit down and talk.
Mhm.
You can't haul off and hit somebody, the
Mm-mm,
babies upside the head
mm-mm,
today,
mm-mm.
because you're gonna crush them.
Mhm.
Because they're more in tune with the emotions, and you gotta watch.
And you're going to jail.
And you're going to jail, right? And that is true. And you got to calm yourself down and let me understand this and let me sit down and talk. But back then, when we were growing up, what happened? Anything sideways, you was getting knocked upside your head.
Yes.
We was actually abused. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
it was.
yeah. And
Yes.
Kenyatta, you right behind you.
Yes.
Right there. You got a 60. You got your mother was in the 60s. She was busting
Yes.
upside your head. Yes.
Well, actually,
True,
my
that's
mother, she didn't really. My mother may have beat me maybe 5 times in my whole life. She would call my dad and get him to do it, but still, it was abuse nonetheless.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
And what that did was we laugh at it now, but that actually
Yes.
was emotional distress.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
You had
trauma.
to deal with the
That's a
damage.
trauma.
Yes.
Yes.
Trauma.
I'm still dealing with mine.
It was trauma.
It's
It
trauma.
was fear. It was a lot. And you gotta didn't take this into your adulthood life. No.
So that brings me to a question, right? It took us like we didn't want our kids to have to deal with what we dealt with.
Yes,
We were
absolutely.
way more lenient on our kids,
Mhm.
with it. But is that like putting them at a disadvantage? Because like these kids are very, and I know even the scripture says they'll be, what is it, wiser but weaker, right? They can't take anything. They don't
Right.
know how to communicate. They don't know how to clean and cook and keep this, and they don't do a lot of stuff. I don't want to say, but like a lot of things that we were taught, but we was beat into it. You know what I'm saying? We were beat into it. And so we got it, and we didn't want to do that to our kids. But so now we spoiled our kids.
Mhm.
And so now they're here and they saying there, you like,
But let me ask you
son,
this.
Where did I go wrong?
what you talk about? You know what I
Where
mean?
did I
Like,
go wrong?
I'm just asking, is that a disadvantage, or is just
Yes.
because I just look at them. I mean, hold on. I just let me say this. I just look at them like, dag, if they had what we had with the smartness and the quickness and the swiftness that they have in there, you know what I'm saying? The wiser, I mean, oh my God, they could be.
But they wouldn't. I'm gonna let you, I don't think they would be able to take that discipline that we had today.
But we have had to discipline them that way. We were abused. So we turned left, was like, nope, we ain't doing that.
No,
but was there a way that we could have?
No, because the timing is the timing. This group is for this time. We were in that time.
Yep.
You can't, and I know what you're saying. And I've heard this old man say, okay, you beat them and you beat them and you beat them. I still was lying. I still was gonna go on. I was gonna do. I still snuck and did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just didn't do it in front of my parents because, like you said, y'all, it was fear more than respect. It was fear, right? So I still did what I want to do. Did it cause something? It may have tweaked it where I may have been a little different, but I'm saying is the generation, the timing was the timing. They grew up in a time where you do as I say, and if you don't do it, bam, you're gonna get a beat, right? Spoil the child, spare the rod, spoil the child. You know what I mean? I heard that so many times. I said, well, spoil me because you spare something. Stop beating me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean?
For
sure.
Now I'm angry and I don't like you, and I'm not gonna tell you anything, and I want to get away from you fast. So did that really help anything?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So the generation is the timing we're in, because their mindsets and that we in the technology age, and I do not believe they could have handled the disciplining. I don't want to say discipline, but the abuse.
No, we wouldn't have had to do it that way.
No,
but we didn't do any of that.
Right. We showed them more love.
Yeah.
Now they come to us and talk. Now we have a communication with the younger generation that they'll sit down, talk about sex, have no problem talking about
right.
the drugs, what you know what I'm saying, the sexuality, all that. We would have never, we don't go to our parents in that matter. Right? Now you wouldn't even talk to your mama today about that.
No.
That's what, see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
Kenyatta, I'm sorry. You was gonna say something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't even remember when we were talking about, but I mean, I think that we kind of did them a disservice a little bit, just because, like, for instance, and I'm gonna just put my baby out here. I had sent her to the laundromat, and she didn't even know, like, that the dryer takes quarters. So she over there trying to put, like, where does the money go? Like, where do I swipe my card? Because we've always had a washer and dryer in the house. And I just felt like even like the little things of what I had to grow up with, she never had to deal with that. So she doesn't know. So I'm sitting there like, oh my God, like, I just did you so wrong.
Yeah.
But
that's where I'm at. That's why I was saying, like, they don't know nothing.
Nothing.
But so the question down is it a disservice that you're done, or did you not do your whole part, right? Like you said, it's the time we're in, right? So instead of saying, "Oh, I did you wrong," let's talk about it, right? Let me teach you now. We may not have this wash this automatic all the time. I remember that quarter thing, right? Man, I was like, man, how many quarters go this thing? He said, you got to line them up at the hole, push it and pull it back out. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to slam it up in there, and now you got to you tap the card, right? You got to tap the card. It's changing, right? Right, but you learn, like, we get here where we are now, and my wife had to teach me how to use one to tap the card. I'm used to putting the quarters in. I got my change. Boom, 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 bam. You know, I know exactly how many quarters it take to wash and dry. Right? I can use $5 in quarters. That's a good load right there. Wash and dry successfully, right? But and I remember, because I had this thing when I got older. My dad was like, "Look, you have to learn this up here." Right? The man's mentality was, don't rely on nobody else, rely on yourself first. So he told me how to do things. He took me to the laundromat. And I say, Pop, we got to wash and dry in the basement. Why are we spending quarters right now? Right? We got to go home. He would teach me that stuff right there, right? He closed that gap for me, right? Because we had the conversation. I was asking questions. And another thing I have an issue with now today is these babies don't ask questions either. Right? Now, there are still some kids, some babies out today that have those.
They got these.
The answer.
Yeah.
but even with that, right? The parents have it too, right? Let's talk about that as well. Let's bring it to the table, right? Like, when the God babies are here, sometimes we pull the iPad. Let's talk about something. Let's do something interactive. We can ask these questions here. Exactly. So when you're learning this, and I'm learning you at the same time. Right? I know your do's and don'ts now. Right? I know the one that likes hamburgers, the one likes hot dogs, but not reverse. Right? One doesn't like peanut butter. Right? But I learned this. I'm asking those questions now. And I think that the service isn't the communication with parent and child all the time. That's a big thing most of the time. Some of these parents just don't, try not to cuss. They don't give a flying fig Newton what those babies do, right? They just throw them out there, hope that they can swim, right? Well, I didn't have that, right? I mean, I've gotten beaten in my life, But I learned from watching them other siblings get beaten. That's a no-no, right? We don't do that. No, right? But and even some of these kids still get abused today in that same manner that you guys got beat in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 60s. It's there because that's what's been passed down, right? So now that gap there is here, right? We're tight here because this is what I know. But I don't take the time to learn this new age, this new time, this new space, right? So my question is it to the point where people don't want to bridge that gap, right? Are they comfortable with that gap being like that because this is what they know, it's the familiar thing, and they don't know how to be uncomfortable with saying, no, this may not work no more, right? Maybe I can't beat my child with a spoon, right? Or this tennis shoe, this slipper, this coat hanger, right? I can't pop my child because she moved. I'm trying to hot comb her hair or something like that. I know they do hot combs for that, right? Stuff like that, right? I can't help that you burnt me, mama. I'm a flinch because it's hot, you know. But I have to learn these things here. But if you're not teaching it here, we're not talking about it in the meantime, in between time. How do I learn it, right? If you don't want me to be on this here, sit down with me. Give me a book. Put a pencil in my hand, right? Don't just send me to school and say from 7 3, you their responsibility. No, I'm still your child, right? I still have to learn from you, and all the mistakes that you made help me so I don't make those same mistakes, right? All you guys see are parents. I don't have no babies. I have the God babies, right? But we take what we've learned, the do's and don'ts that didn't work for us, that did work for us, and we pour it into the babies, right? The stuff that hurt me, I'd be doggone if I let that get to my child,
Right.
to my godchildren. I'd be doggone if I let how I saw my mother and father interacted affect my marriage,
Exactly.
right? Because one, that worked for them. I'm not them.
Right.
And they went to hell and back. They were fighting each other while they was fighting the kids. Literally. You know, that's the type of toxic stuff you see on the movies or BET, right? That stuff can't pass down. But if we never talk about it, how can we complain about this gap here? How can we complain about these kids doing this stuff here, but we don't talk about it no more? Like I said, Ebony could come to you right now and say, "Ma, look, ABC," and you say X, Y, and Z, and y'all understand it. Bradley can do that with you guys. You know what I'm saying? You have that rapport now because y'all talk about it. Y'all got phones, tablets. Yeah, we on Zoom right now, right? But you put it to the side and you spend time with them. You merge those things there so that you know that your babies can take something to their babies and pass something down, right? That's like point case. My father had got a pocket watch from his father, and before he got sick, he gave me the watch. I still got it. It don't work at all, right? But I wind up every time I find it, I wind it up. It don't tick, it don't talk, it don't do nothing. So I twist the little thing up, right? One day it's gonna pop on. I'm gonna be scared the mother start working one day, right? But I can pass that to my child, right? And I can give them the stories behind it, right? And it's funny because every time somebody tells me about his watch, the story changes. So I can imagine when I tell my child about his watch. It'll be a whole new story. So we're gonna pass that wisdom down, right? Take this pass to your child and give them a story about how you got the watch. What does the watch mean to you, right? Now I don't know what granddad got that watch from. I don't ask questions no more because again, the story changes every time. But I allowed myself to sit in that tutelage because for me it was important, right? I remember I didn't have friends who had parents that sat with them all the time.
Mm.
You saw my daddy, you saw me. Even if he was out there living his life, he was wilding, as you say, Rob. He was wilding out, but he had his kids with him, right? They were fed, they were safe, and they were being instructed in one way or another, right? I know y'all do y'all babies like that too, but again, are we allowing ourselves to let the gap get wider, or are we taking the time to close it? That's the biggest thing we have to ask ourselves today, in my opinion, right? Do we want to close this gap here, or we find just being content with how it is? Because right now, it's a free fall. Like you
Yes,
said,
indeed.
you had great grandmama 37, great grandmama 42, right? That's the reality, right?
Right.
You got these babies out here wearing tube tops and leggings with thigh high rain boots. Babies, right? The tutelage ain't coming down no more. Cause Kiki, I bet you ain't been outside at 6, 7 years old with no tube top, no cowboy boots on, and a furry costume, have you?
No.
Exactly, right? Because it came down somewhere down the line, right? Rob, you might have been wilding out, Rob, but when you with your uncles, what you do? You stood up straight, right?
Mhm.
Yes, sir. No, sir. It came down like that. Right. I was out. I went to visit Najee at work the other day. I'm gonna say I'm gonna stop. And we stopped. We were talking to this lady. She asked mom about her shirt. She asked where we got it from. Talking about that, and the other separation was talking to me. And I was saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. She said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from Maryland." She said, "Really? And you talk like that?" I said, "That's because I was raised right." And she stopped. Right. I know how to talk to my elders. I don't know your name, so rightfully, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Because first of all, I hate yeah. I'm a writer. You know, some words I just don't like. Yeah and but. I can't stand them two words. I may use them a lot, but they irritate me with a passion. Right. Especially when you're talking to somebody. An older person, you're yaring them for what? No. Give them the respect that you want back. Again, let's close that gap. I feel like I'm rambling, but I really want to close that gap because it's really bad. I see it too much in the streets and on social media, everywhere. These adults want to be, like I said, 25. Dude, you 62. Your niece ain't nowhere near 25. Sat down, right? Grandma, go home. Stop running the streets. All right? Just stop it. You live your life in the comfortability of your space right there. Go watch Matlock, rerun, Judy, or something. Turn on Walker, Texas Ranger. Do
That was my joy though, but well, hold on.
They got the new Matlock, then they changed the new Matlock now.
No, I don't want that Matlock then.
They
I
got
need
the
the
new
old
one.
one.
They bridging the gap too.
Well, yeah,
No,
like that's what we need. We need to bridge those gaps. 'Cause I'm tired of these people out in these streets. They make me so
And I
mad.
think it can happen, right? I mean, like Kiki said, I feel like it's narrowing. But you know, in certain areas. I mean, maybe it'll stretch out across. I don't know. They wilding out here, but understanding who we are. You know, when you have those who are they now that we're giving the wisdom, that's us now. We stand up, you know what I'm saying, and do what we're supposed to do. And we can have understanding, you know what I'm saying, have love, give wisdom, you know, and all of that at the same time. And then still be respected and be respectful to the person you're talking to. Because just because it's a young person or younger than me doesn't mean that I'm not to respect them. Because then
their feelings don't matter.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's how we grew up, you know, and you just be like, and I mean, my daughter will say it today, you know, my mother didn't let me talk, didn't let me do anything, you know. And maybe so, because there were things that I felt like she was saying, and I'm like, we not even speaking that. So stop talking. That's where I was at with it. You know what I mean? Maybe I did a disadvantage to her because today she still speaks of it like, my mother didn't let me talk.
So do I. I do the same. So do I.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We did what we knew to do. But we didn't do what our parents did. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. But we are the ones now. And I'm just getting it. I mean, I'm just, I'm coming around the corner. I'm getting it now. That are gonna be the ones to close it, to narrow that gap, because we just have to have the love, the wisdom, the patience to understand and get it. I just often think in my mind when I look at our kids, like, doggone it, I should doggone it, you know what I mean? Like, but then you're like, oh my God, you're so great, but it's just so many things. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to say I missed the mark, but after tonight, I won't say that because now I got it. But that's what I was saying. Like, I missed the mark on this one right here. I ain't even show the child
do that on something
how to do this, But I felt like these were major situations in my life that made me be who I am. But it didn't have to come out the way it came out to me, but it was good information.
Than you know what I mean?
I know, but it was good information that I could have shared.
Yeah, but in that time, you shared what you knew
Mhm.
and the circumstances that you were in.
Mhm.
That's why you can never go back and blame yourself or put yourself and say, "Why did I do that?" Well, you can't do that because the timing you were in, and God has His timing, and the timing you were in, you raised them, and they're healthy and they're standing strong. Now,
Thank you,
some
Father.
things, if they missed, yes, I mean, you're going to do that. That's even when you're in class and you got a curriculum.
Mhm.
You done went through all that, but you like, I ain't come in, I ain't know nothing because they ain't tell me something that I needed to know for life. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Oh, that's good.
I
That's
think
a good analogy.
we pay attention because in life we think it's just perfect. No, nothing is perfect,
No.
right?
Mhm.
Like I said, parenting, there's no book on parenting.
Right.
In the circumstances that you're in, you're doing the best you can because you want the best for your child. You love your child. You don't want your child to experience what you experienced, and you always want better for the next.
Mhm.
Now, did we shorten because we may have spoiled? Yes, but then you showed more love.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? Yes, I was loved, but was the expression of showing love there?
No.
You right? So you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So now
Uh-huh.
we give that. I go there and kiss Bradley. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I kiss him on the face, the mouth, wherever I can get his, you know what I'm saying? He's big, but I'm gonna kiss him
Right.
because that's what this generation needs, more affection. Like you said,
Mhm.
the group now is wilding, right? But is it a wow or is it a scream out for I just need a hug? I need someone to show me love. You know what I'm
Need a
saying?
hug.
Because everybody in the time that we're in now, and in the culture that we're in,
Mhm.
you know, everything is accepted.
Mhm.
Nobody is correcting anything. You good, just do what you do. You be you. But in our natural being, who God created us, He created us to be corrected.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes when you were a child, I don't know if you remember, but when you were a child and you were doing stuff just to see if your parents were going to do something. You know what I mean? You were wild and they're gonna do something.
Mhm.
How far you gonna test you're gonna test it just to see how far you're gonna go. Because in that way we were engineered, we need correction, we need lining up, we need affection. We need someone to come and tell me bam, 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 and to tell me that in love.
Mhm.
Not tell me that, why, man, you know what I mean, talking at me, but talk to me and understand where we at. And now I can teach and now I can give discipline. I think that's where we're coming from with, like even you mentioned, Marcus. I seen babies online with this little fan and that little child. I think it's the craziest thing, and I think it's so wrong, right?
Come on, Miss Shirley.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's so crazy because in the culture that we're in now, everything is accepted.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
cool, it's fine, ain't nothing wrong with that. But when someone of a standard says no, stop, that's wrong. Well, you don't know. Let them be free. Let them do. No, right is right and wrong is wrong because the individual that's saying that sees it down the road that this right here is going to be a major problem as
Yep.
it gets older.
Older.
And if you
Mhm.
allow that thing to keep festering, now it's going to blow up, and now you're going to have no control. Now you can be mad, upset. It's going to be this and that. I think in the time now, like I said, the culture that we're in
Mhm.
doesn't want discipline. The
Mhm.
culture says everything is accepted.
Mhm.
But us as individuals, people,
Mhm.
we need discipline. You know what I mean? We want discipline. The babies want discipline. They want you to tell me, "Hey, look, you messing up.
Mhm.
So you need to slow down where you at. Come here, come back down. Come on over here. Sit down. Let's talk. Because you wilding." Now they may listen. I mean, they hear it, right?
Mhm.
Now they may go back out there and wild, but you have dropped that in them.
Mhm. Yep.
That okay, yeah, OG. That bothers me too, Marcus. OG. I'm like, where'd you get the OG?
Yeah,
You don't have to call me OG. I know
yeah,
I'm gray and I'm older.
yeah.
That is
It's all
dope.
right.
You know what I'm saying? OG told me I shouldn't do this, so let's chill on that. You know what I'm saying? Because that one may give it to the next group, his group,
Mhm.
and say, look, we got to chill on that. You know what I'm saying? Because we're wilding. It's the culture that we're in, and that the world has stamped it and said it's good to be whatever you want to be. Right? You can have 75 different names. You can change your whoever you are daily. But us as human beings, God has created us, right? In His image. We know we be wilding. We know that we go off and we're
Mhm.
looking for something to give us correction. That's why I don't want to
Mhm.
go off somewhere else, but that's why human beings always follow certain things. That's why there's groups and things, because we are wired to follow
Mm.
something that's higher and give us a guidance and give us a word that we may move in it, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
But society in its whole totality is keep saying, do what you feel.
Mhm.
If you feel it, do it. No, because if that's the if we gonna keep living like that, then
Mm.
there's no order, right? And God is order,
As you
Yes.
can see.
right? There's no order, and you see where we're headed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's happening now, it's always been like that,
Mm.
but now we're in the technology age. Now you can
See it.
see it real time, and somebody can blast it, and then it's out, right? And they say, "Well, they can do it. I can do it." No, no. Stop. Stop that baby from fan dancing because she's a baby. She's
Baby.
not need to be swirling her hips.
Mhm.
And I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Mhm.
Stop it now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's what's happening. And like you were saying, Marcus, where the gap is the culture that we're in that's saying everybody do what you want, do what you want. But it's us as the older generation to lie to say, no, let's not do this. But we're gonna come in compassion and we're gonna come in love.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna do like we were growing up do. All we got was hollered at. You know what I mean? Even from across the street, your neighbor. You better, I'm gonna tell your mom. You better not do that. Like, Joe, shut up. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll tell your mom, then you gotta be. But to sit down and talk and say, hey, don't y'all need to chill on it. Hey, stop.
Mhm.
Watch how you know what I mean? But then what's so and it's dangerous today to do that as well, talking to these youngers, they wild out.
Right.
But you have to, and that's one of them tricky things, and you have to allow God to use you to have compassion and understanding to who you getting ready to talk to.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you have a lot of youngins that their mental is not there because of what they grew up with, what they were told.
Reckless.
Yes, and
Mhm.
all that,
Mhm.
and no discipline. You understand? But they're crying out for it, and then when
Yes.
it does come, it's
Mm.
you know what I mean? That's why and Marcus, really, I go back to, and it's not up to women, it's us is up to the men.
Mhm.
You understand? Because we off our level where we supposed to be. Because like you said, the older men trying to be 25, that's the problem, right? We got older groups that's trying to, and they real, and I'm gonna say it, they're real feminine,
Mhm.
right? Everybody's real zesty, and that's accepted. You know what I mean? Today, instead of being the leaders and the ones to say, no, we're not going to do this. No, my family's not, my group, okay, is not going to do it. My tribe is not, we're not going to do that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And we're coming off our plateau or our
Mhm.
stable, and it's hard. First, Marcus, we got to get us together and round us up so we can have a sit down, and then we can go out and you know what I mean? Because it's a lot of us men and younger, and even Marcus, because Marcus is the younger of older, right? That's why we say he older, because he's the youngest of an older generation, right?
Mhm.
His daddy was old school, right?
Mhm.
Doing do.
70s. There's the 70s, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Jive turkeys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's up to us to get us men together that we may have these discussions.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not up to the women or the mothers, because the men are the structure,
Mm.
right? We the stable ones, to line it up. You know what I mean? To keep it in order and to show love. We got this thing backwards and confused that the women's supposed to show love. No, it's us. We the love,
Mhm.
right? You understand? And that has been lost.
Mm.
Because now men, even looking at all the older men, even the men that you see online, they're so, what are you doing, Joe? Stop. You got a voice, you got following.
Mhm.
Why are you talking in this manner? You know what I'm saying? Why are you saying these things? You're a grown man, you have experienced life, you have been through stuff. Why are you trying to act like you're 19 or 25?
Mm.
That time is over. You know what I mean? You're 50, you're 60. be that, and thank God you're at that lovely age and still being able to move and talk. And I don't want to ramble, but y'all get what I'm saying, because it bothers me to the most. It's not up to the women. There should be a man. What's the baby name again, Morgan?
What baby?
Miss Shirley.
Miss Shirley.
Oh, Miss Shirley.
And
Yeah.
that's a problem because we calling a baby a Miss Shirley. That's another problem.
Yeah. Right.
Where is the father to stop? That's my baby girl. She needs to grow up to be a grown woman, not this right here to be a spectacle and a clown show for the whole world to see. So there should be a man to stop it. You understand what I'm saying? And stop all the women that are for it. Stop them. You understand? And kill this noise right here, because you're not gonna use my baby as a gimmick. Or so you can make some money, or you can do this. No. This is going to stop. So that's where we got to come in and stop nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Not angry, not fighting, but show love. Gosh, Jesus walked around showing love to everybody, even in the hostile situations. He was a calm, and he talked, and he came with love, even when, and everything was direct, right? There was no sugarcoating. There was no emotionalism and all. He was a gentle man. As the term gentleman, he was a gentle man. He was a true gentleman that came in and talked. You know what I mean? And that's where we got to understand, and we got to get it. Isn't it? That's the gap.
That needs to happen, because after we're gone, that's what's coming up.
Yeah. So it's us to us.
That's scary.
But no, it's not. I don't want to say it is. But as they're growing up, they're learning more. And what I believe too is God is showing them something that we don't see because of where their mindset is and what they see now. God is showing them something that is so phenomenal that they're trying to understand it and process it, that they can get it out. We seeing one side of it. God is showing them something totally different on the other side. You understand? Because you know why? Because of where we came from. We came from a traditional background from our parents. They're not coming from that traditional background. We was trying to give that to them. But now theirs, I want to use the term sort of abstract. So they see it something totally different. And God is showing it into where they're at today. You may think it's bad. I may think it's bad. Like, no, this generation crazy. I disagree. I had to say that to a elder. I was like, nah, they're not crazy. It's just they need guidance and a little structure. It may seem chaotic, but God speaks to them in one way, because I'm trying to explain it and get it out. Your parents thought you was crazy. Did they not? They thought you was wild, and you ain't gonna be, you ain't gonna learn nothing, you ain't gonna do nothing. Look at you standing here today. Mine thought the same thing. You understand? So it's the generation that we're in. God spoke to you in that way. You dealt with something different that your mother never dealt with. You wasn't married. Your mother ain't married in a blended family. Look how you have grown. We have grown in marriage. We're not around here fighting and going back and forth.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's the timing you were in. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just rambling. I hope I'm making sense.
You're right.
You're fine.
So this generation that's coming up now, then they see things totally different. They're supposed to, because of the time they're in now. I don't want to get into the age where we're in, and the bronze and all that type of stuff in the word, but that's the timing they're in right now. We gotta, as you're saying, Marcus, we got to understand and see where they're at. We got to calm our emotions down, right? And see where they're at. It's not chaotic. God has his plan. God has his hand on it. He was showing me this, and it's so powerful. They're going to do stuff that you ain't never do. You were scared to have to do.
And I believe that.
Yes. And he's speaking to them in another way so they can get it because of the time that they're in. Mommy and daddy back in the day, granddaddy was military, boom, boom, boom. And God talked to them with giant letters with a period on the end, and they got it right.
Mhm.
Ours was coming up. God was saying, all right, I'll be there. I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to go to church. I know I'm supposed to. These kids, they say, no, I don't have to be there because God just told me something. I don't have to step in no church.
Mhm.
Why I got to step in the church? Now they're asking the questions that
Mhm. That we wanted to ask.
That
should've
one
been
day.
they're free, and now they asking these
I get
questions
that.
in the Bible. That don't make no sense. That's
Mhm.
stupid.
Mhm.
You understand? So you can't beat them down. You just gotta talk so they can understand this. And they already see spiritually, which is so powerful because they see it in another level. You understand?
Mhm.
We were structured to bam, 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 bam. They're like,
Mhm.
you understand? You know what I mean? We see it as put the engine in this way. You say, no, you can flip that and turn it, and you can make it sit sideways, and it'll still work.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's the timing we're in, and us, we gotta have patience. That's another thing. Man. Patience.
That's a big one.
That's a bit, we get frustrated real fast, and we think they going. No, we just got to sit here and say, okay, what you need a question? What's the question you got?
Mhm.
I'm gonna answer it for you. You understand? I'm gonna answer as best as my ability as I can, right? As I can. I'm gonna try to answer this question for you. If not, I'm gonna come back to you. We're gonna talk about this later, and I'm gonna get this, and we're gonna try to get this answer together.
Mhm.
Because so in that, they're processing, you're processing, and y'all actually growing together. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So then, Marcus, that goes back to what you were saying. You got to sit down and then you got to have patience with this generation. Because this generation, they will make you kirk. They will make, I'm telling you, I don't want to say they make you, but we kirk on them.
That's
We'll
so
flip
funny.
out in 1 second.
Real quick.
Because of what we grew up with.
Mhm.
It was no nonsense when we was growing up. No nonsense. No. And that's it. They didn't even try to
And then this generation full of nonsense.
see.
No,
It's
but
not.
I mean, it's just so much because, like you said, of the acceptance.
It's the
And
culture
so I'm
that
just
we're in.
wondering
You see how much
what
you
is
see how
that going to
much-
look like when they are 50?
it's going to look like what it looked like, and it's not for you to judge that look like.
Right, I ain't trying to judge it.
But what
just
I'm
wondering.
saying is for you, either you're going to be
Mhm.
relevant in it, or
Mhm.
you, like you were saying, y'all were saying, you're going to be in that box.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? Either you're going to understand it and give your words of wisdom and learn, and they understand what you're saying, and we,
Mhm.
like you said, it's a circle, and we all move in this together.
Mm.
Or you gonna keep saying they nonsense, or we're gonna say they nonsense, they silly, they stupid. Yeah, I say it, right? I say it to myself, get on my nerve,
Mhm.
right? Because why you ain't saying this fast like I'm saying it, but they're seeing it in another way. You know what I mean? They see it in their mind, but they may not be able to get the words out
Mhm.
as we do. But they got it, and they're getting it more and more. And I had,
No, I believe
I'm
it.
saying this to myself
They're
because
definitely way
I had to keep talking to myself to give myself patience, and which is
Yeah.
I think it's so good because now that makes us more relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And then get back to y'all our topic that bridges the gap.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? That brings us closer together because now we're learning together,
Yeah.
and then that humbles us because I dare our parents say when we were 19, 20, they were going to learn with us.
Nah.
They would have never
They
said
couldn't
that.
learn from us.
No, learn with us, and we learn and grow
They
together.
couldn't learn from us.
No, that's what I'm saying. So right. So no,
No.
they would have never. But
No.
now we humbling. Now we getting it, and,
Oh, for sure.
and we
I
getting
get it.
more and more. Now we're seeing ourselves and getting more in touch with ourselves. That goes back to the physical part. That's why some I don't want to point out women, men too. That's why they tripping because they finally seeing themselves as who they are. Ladies, y'all finally just seeing yourself.
Mhm.
But what generation you getting that from?
Mhm.
You're getting that from the younger generation.
Mhm.
You're getting that from the millennial time. That's why you seeing yourself now. Before your mama ain't never did. Your mama gonna tell you what you look like.
Oh,
And
that's good.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
now
that was good.
we are learning from that group
Mhm.
because we're seeing ourselves in that, and we in the generation that we are in. But it's us for go back. We gotta have patience. You gotta have love. You gotta have a little more understanding. Ain't that God?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that it goes back to that, right?
Mhm.
You be in touch with your emotions. Now men are crying with one another. That never would have happened back in the day.
Mhm.
You know, men coming together and having a whole session and crying together. I still got a tug with that myself. You understand what I'm saying? Growing up. But that's coming from that,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? That younger generation allowing us to see ourselves. That's the culture we're in, right? Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it is. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. And the learning of it all is very interesting.
Yeah, that's
Any
funny.
final words? Oh, go ahead.
Wait, no, it's funny. You saw my daddy been old school, right? My daddy was a musician, right? So a lot of time he talked was in parables or in music, right? So he taught me how to play a few instruments. First was the piano, and he told me, he said, every chord has three notes, right? Three notes. He said, only person knows you messed up that chord is you when you play it.
Mm.
Chaos is structure, right? And I apply that everywhere I go, right? Those three notes, that simple chord, right? If I mess up, I know I did, but you're not gonna not mess up, right? It looks weird to you, but I'm finding my way through the keys, finding my way through those notes, so I figure out that groove. When I get it, I got it. When I got it, I get it. It's good. But in the meantime, let me mess up. Let me figure it out, because it's gonna come back around, right? That's that learning process, right? But it's like there's patience in the mess up, right? And it's patience is sitting there and watch somebody mess up, allow them to figure it out
Yeah.
while gently nudging them the right way. Like he would do that. He was cool, but he played dual pianos or he'll play his key. He'll drop a note and just play two. He said to find that middle note. I'm like, hey, he said, you're fine. He said, go down the key, find the note. And he'll start playing these dynamic things. I'm like, I can't catch up. But then I got the note, right? There's some simple three notes. He played the whole song. But I got that note. That's that parable of life right there, right? It's at your fingers. Mess up. Allow yourself to mess up. But in it, learn, grow, and pass it down.
Mm.
Right? Bridging those gaps. I should write a book about that. That was good.
That was good.
Right? My daddy was on to something. He was good. That boy was good. Yeah.
He was the that's where the poetic sir started. My goodness.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's all him. Yeah.
All right, family. Thank you. Any last words, Kat?
No, I think this is such a powerful discussion. I'm
Mhm.
glad we talked about everything. You guys have hit on everything about really about the topic.
Mhm.
It was awesome. I'm sitting here learning, listening, and learning myself. I was like, oh my God, just over here meditating on some stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a really good topic. It really
Yes,
was.
Yes,
Awesome.
it was.
Cool. Thank you, Kenyana,
Thank
for
you,
joining
Kiki,
us.
for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Yes.
Awesome.
We will
Family.
have to have you again.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes. I love to have a different perspective, different
Mhm.
age group,
Yeah.
different generations, and that's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's why, like
Yeah.
you guys saying, you bridging that gap, you close it so we can understand each other better. You know what I mean? And understand why you flick off like that because of what I grew up with. You know what I mean? Or why you not understanding because that's the culture that we're in.
Mhm.
So it plays a big role, and I think if old school would get that and understand that, we could smooth things out a little better and stop judging and killing. We got to stop killing the younger generation and stop beating them down. Oh man, it's bad. I'm a victim of it myself, right? Because of the annoyance and stuff like that.
The
you know what I mean?
annoyance
Because of
of
the
it.
patience, right? You want
Right.
this and you see this. Same thing that your parents did to us, But we got to kill it. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes, we got to kill that. Yes. And allow God to move in your life. God will show you things. But you got to be open. You got to be mature.
Mhm.
You got to see yourself first before you see anybody else. Because it's funny how every week we go back to that, don't it? Ain't it?
It always ended
It's
there.
real simple, ain't it? You got to see self first in order to grow and move forward. You got it points here.
God.
It starts with this individual
Always,
here,
every
right?
time.
Right before you even go out there to understand it, because you got to understand yourself before you can understand someone.
Mm.
Yes. That's that thing, Kenyatta. You got to look at the man in the mirror.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. All right, family.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much. Love you guys. And we should be back next week, God willing, right?
Yeah, I hope
If
so.
God allows us to come back here.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Next
saying?
Wednesday, 8:15, we'll be here.
We be here, right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, family.
All right.
Y'all have an awesome night, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this, and we
Mhm.
will see y'all next week.